Hi everyone, and welcome to the Life with Goldie podcast, where we travel around the world and we talk to all the Golden Hoodie recipients about their journey in the Trailblazer ecosystem. I'm your host, Mia Pacey, also a Golden Hoodie recipient, but today we're talking to Zarina, all the way from Canada. Welcome, Zarina.
Hi, thanks, Mia. It's so great to be here.
Thanks for being with us. I love hopping across the world. How is it over there? What temperature are we with today?
So it's technically what they call in Canada spring, probably closer to what you would call in Australia winter, I would say.
Yes. Perfect weather. Well, yes,
Exactly.
it's early morning for me and it's a late Saturday night for you folks. Very, very appreciate you spending your time with me, and thank you so much for joining us. I know it's been a while and we've been loving to get together. So let's dive straight into it, because I love your story and I want everyone else to get inspired like I was when I first heard it. So how did Salesforce and Trailhead come into your life? Would you be able to share with us and the audience where it all started?
Sure. So, I suppose with most people, it's usually by accident in the Salesforce ecosystem, though it's becoming more and more common now that people are, actively trying to become Salesforce certified and Salesforce consultants and whatnot. But, for most of us in this first-ish generation, it was kind of handed to me by accident. So I was working at a company in Toronto, and I started as an admin assistant, and then I became an executive assistant, and then I was kind of handed this IT portfolio and kind of here you go. I was like, cool, I've always been pretty good with computers. And I kind of started to get into some of the weeds of some of the IT stuff at the company I was working with. And then they had a CRM system, which was a glorified address book. It was awful. And then one day I was told, okay, we're getting Salesforce and you're going to be the admin. And I was like, cool. Okay, I've seen the blue cloud before. Okay, great. And then I went through the process of kind of initial scoping and whatnot and trying to answer these questions that I have no idea about. I've never even logged in before, right? So it was kind of eye-opening and kind of a little scary. But then I guess on the day of deployment, then I was given my login information and I was like, oh my God, what is this? I love this. It was kind of love at first login, as I think is commonly
Oh my goodness, I love that
mentioned.
saying. Love at first login.
Yeah, exactly, right? Love at first login. And I was just so I kind of, I was told, I remember on the last day, I was told about Trailhead, and I wished I would have been told about Trailhead on the first day, because I could have started getting into things. Anyway, so then I started kind of, doing some badges. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. This is so powerful. And started to get so many ideas. I'm like, I know so many processes I can change at my company. This is amazing. And just kind of really started going for it and became really excited about it. And then, yeah, because of, I guess, my enthusiasm and passion for Salesforce and the processes that I was able to implement at my former company, I was promoted to be the technology manager, which was pretty cool. I was very excited at the time, and it was kind of all thanks to my love for Salesforce.
That's amazing. So you went from not knowing anything about obviously the platform to loving it and learning about it and then working your way up to a promotion. Would you say that learning about it was a hurdle? Was it something that came naturally to you, and were you trained in it originally in your former education?
Yeah, so definitely was not trained in it, but so as you've probably noticed, even though Mia introduced me as being in Canada, I am from Australia originally. I'm actually from Sydney. Actually grew up not too far away from Mia.
Yeah.
And actually went to the same college as Heidi Prowse, another Aussie golden girl.
Mm-hmm.
We discovered we were actually there in the same year. So we would have been literally a class across the hall from each other.
Goodness.
And I'm sure we probably met, but I know, it's so funny, right? But yeah, so I actually studied music business straight out of school in Sydney, and then I studied public relations. Neither one of those things have anything to do with technology, of course. So it just kind of, my knack for computers, I guess, kind of helped. I'm not the sort of person that goes, oh, I can't do technology. I don't even know how to use email. I can't deal with it. I'm usually like, get in there, figure it out, let's learn it type thing. So I think that really helped me, being an interested learner and like I see a problem, I want to fix it kind of person. I would say really set me up for success rather than having an actual technology background.
Okay. And it would definitely be, so it's I can see the problem. I want to research how I could fix it. So it's like the inquisitive mindset, would you say?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's really, really important when it comes to working in Salesforce. I mean, working in any kind of role when you're actively trying to help, for sure, but it really will help be an asset to your skill set.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a career in Salesforce, for sure.
So you said public relations. Would that be because, do you say communication in your role would be a big aspect of it?
Yeah, I mean, communication definitely is huge. And in my current role, I'm a Salesforce consultant. And it's funny, I've just realized how much of an asset having that communication background and actually having that PR background is coming to be so helpful, specifically business writing. I had no idea that would be such a huge part of my current role, but because I have that that background in PR, it's actually been like hugely beneficial for me, because I'm like, oh, business writing, don't worry, I got this. I'm not like scared of like, oh God, I got to write this thing. I'm like, no, I love it. Then I have to like just tone down the kind of PR-y type language, not put too many adjectives in there. I'm like, I'm going to take this out, I'm going to take this out. But it's definitely kind of setting me up for success in ways that I kind of didn't imagine. And that's one thing about, I think, the Salesforce community, is that you don't really realize what skills from your former career or your former life will actually really be a benefit to you when you are exploring your Salesforce career.
So you definitely didn't have a former education that set you up to be in technology and be a Salesforce admin.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, I'm sure there are you probably could be further from the truth, but you know, it was certainly not anything I ever really thought about. I thought I was going to end up working in, you know, the music industry forever in public relations, and then when I decided that was too exhausting, you know, I went kind of on this journey that I never really thought I would end up like this, working in technology at all. But, you know, you don't know what you don't know, I guess.
I mean, being a music PR, living the nightlife, traveling the world in the stage industry sounds amazing, but does sound exhausting. You're right.
Yeah, it was, and it was it was kind of all happening when the GFC was kind of going on, which meant I had to work several other jobs as well, because that wasn't so reliable. And I was working in childcare, and childcare, when you have to be at work at 7 in the morning, it's not really conducive to also working in the music industry when you're out until 3 in the morning. So it kind of just got to be too much for me. And that's kind of actually how I ended up in Canada. I was kind of looking for a bit of a change. I was kind of, you know, starting to get a little bit overwhelmed with what was going on. Burning out, I guess is the term.
Yeah.
And then I was kind of looking at what was going to be next to me in terms of job-wise, because I knew I was getting ready to kind of move on from what I was doing. And I saw an ad for like, oh, move to Canada on a working holiday. And I was like, oh,
sure.
Like, oh, that does sound amazing. And so then I was like, okay, guess what, everyone?
Bye.
Moving to Canada. Okay, bye. And at first, like, my parents were like, yeah, sure, okay, she's moving to Canada, right? And then there was like, no, things started happening. Like, oh, no, she's actually moving to Canada. And I thought I'd be here for a year. And then I met a boy who's in the other room, got married, and, you know, still here nearly 12 years later. So
yeah,
it's funny going from like, you know, working in the music industry in Australia to now being like a technology professional on the other side of the world. If you had asked like 18-year-old me, if like, hey, guess what? This is what you'll be doing in X number of years, I would have been like, yeah, right, not a chance. So you just never know where your journey will take you.
Yeah, exactly. Don't put yourself in a box, and it could really take you anywhere.
Absolutely. Yes, I really like that. Don't put yourself in a box.
Yeah. So let's talk about that shiny golden hoodie you're wearing. It's amazing. It turns heads everywhere you go. Definitely don't wear it on public transport. Turns weird. So you were awarded the Golden Hoodie in 2019. Take us through what it was like. I understand it was at World Tour in Canada. What was the event like? You were lucky enough to be presented on the big stage. Take us through what the event was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so 2019 was my first, well, it wasn't really my first Toronto World Tour. There was one the year before that I was at for like half a day, and then I had to go to do something for my company. So I didn't really get to hang out all that much. Yeah, but then for the 2019 World Tour, Becky DeLauren, who I think is no longer with Salesforce, but at the time she was active in the community marketing team, she reached out and was like, hey, you know, Toronto World Tour is coming up and we'd love for you to be a bit of a speaker in the keynote. We'd love for you to kind of tell your story. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. That's so exciting. Like, thank you so much for inviting me. So I was interviewed by Sarah Franklin.
Wow.
I told my story kind of similar to what I told you before, maybe, you know, obviously a little briefer. And then, you know, it's kind of one of those moments where like time stops. Like I remember kind of being up there in front of 6,000 people telling them about my journey. And then next thing I knew, Sarah's kind of like, oh, we have something for you. And then all of a sudden this shiny gold hoodie was draped around me. And actually it's funny, if you go back and watch the footage, I couldn't get my arm in properly. And I was like, oh my God, you know, can't get my arm in. This is so awkward. And at one point we were kind of like, okay, maybe let's just abandon the arm in the sleeve thing and just, here you go. But no, luckily we managed to get it on. And then, you know, it was one hell of a day, that's for sure. Like when you're wearing it, you're, as you said, like you attract a lot of attention. So it was a pretty great day. Like everyone wanted to talk to me. Everyone wanted to get their photo with me. And I got to chat with Sarah Franklin a little bit as well. And it was definitely a day I'll never forget. That's for sure.
Could you like when it happened and you saying like it was a stressful moment trying to get your arm in the jacket, and could you remember walking down off the stage? Were you expecting it? What was that bit like? I think I would just like not remember any of it and just completely black out.
I mean, you never really expect anything like this. Obviously you'd seen at other keynotes before that they do that, but they also don't do it every time as well. So it was a huge surprise to all of a sudden have this like gold hoodie draped around me, almost, well, you know, it was on me, almost was draped around me. But the one thing I do really remember was that whoever was in charge of the Golden Hoodie on the day put this little guy up here, Goldie Astro, on my chair. So when I was still kind of in a bit of a daze and I was walking back to where I was seated, Goldie Astro was there waiting for me, and I was like, oh, okay, now I have a little buddy. Because also that was near the beginning of the keynote, so then I had to like sit there wearing this gold jacket in the front row of the keynote and try not to be like, oh my God, what the hell just happened? Oh my God. I'm trying to just sit there and be like,
and keep it cool.
And I've got my little Astro kind of like stroking it on my lap, like my little personal support Astro. So that was, you know, trying to kind of like contain myself while there's still cameras and stuff around, and not on my phone and messaging people and whatnot. Like just, it was a bit of, definitely a little bit of a daze, but I just remember kind of hugging my Goldie Astro as like I said, my personal support Astro to get me through the rest of the keynote. Then I could really kind of jump up and celebrate with everyone.
I could imagine it being like, your phone's just blowing up and you're like, I hope I put that on silent because I wasn't planning for this. Exactly. Yeah. I hope I pre-planned for this, quietly like completely sweating under this massively golden hoodie. Just keep your cool, be cool as you're sitting there. Like, I wish we would just end now, but this was a 20-minute keynote.
Exactly. And I'm sitting there in the front row kind of being like, oh, look at that demo. Oh, that's great.
I can't focus on anything.
What just happened? Yeah, exactly.
I know, it's such a shock to everyone, but it's such a magical moment for when you're doing it, and to look back at it, you're like, oh, that happened. Oh, that felt like forever when my arm wouldn't go in that jacket, but really it was a few seconds.
Yeah, it did. It really did. I'm sure, yeah, like you said, it was just 2 seconds, but I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to forever be known as the person that couldn't put their jacket on.
But I bet like no one noticed it, but you're like, it's the first thing I mentioned to Mia in this podcast.
Absolutely, yeah.
But we look back at it and it was an amazing moment. But as you say, like 2019, we all think of it as just before the pandemic happened. But has it changed? When you look back over the moments, has anything changed for you since you got awarded the Golden Hoodie? I know in your professional career, maybe, but has anything changed for you since the Golden Hoodie in particular, personally or professionally?
I mean, I'm one of those people where, like, the quote that I guess kind of like to use is actually one from Spider-Man. Actually, it's not technically Spider-Man, it's Uncle Ben. He says, with great power comes great responsibility. And I kind of take that really to heart. And I know that, like, when I'm wearing my Golden Hoodie, I'm very visible and I want to set a good example and I want to make people feel comfortable and make sure that people aren't intimidated to come up and talk to me. So I kind of almost, it becomes like you put the jacket on and you become someone else in a way, kind of. I mean, I'd obviously not completely someone else, but I just find I'm more aware of what I'm doing and really want to make sure that I'm setting a good example. I mean, sure, I would do that before anyway. I always want to make sure everyone's included and help people however I can. But I just find that it's a little bit more when I'm wearing my hoodie. I just want to be, like, extra aware that I'm being the best person I can to maybe help someone that wasn't expecting it, I guess.
Yeah, that is a good point. And I think it's how important it is to the Trailblazer community, especially to encourage others and make everyone feel comfortable and included.
Exactly.
So it brings me to, I guess, how important is the Trailblazer community to you and to your journey? So along the way, I guess at the very beginning, you found the Trailblazer community, and now you're you have been a Toronto Women in Tech leader, and you're co-founder of Toronto True North Dreaming.
Yeah. So, I mean, I certainly would not have sitting here chatting to you wearing a shiny golden hoodie had I not been involved in the community. So I actually attended Trailhead DX in 2018, which was my first Salesforce event. I was told I needed to learn how to be a Salesforce admin, and so I was like, well, this is where I'm going. I want to go to Trailhead DX bootcamp. And I really got inspired. I actually saw a session on being women in tech community group leaders, and that was led by my now good friends Barbara Singh and Alison Park. And I went up and chatted with them afterwards, and I was like, oh my God, I'm not sure if there's a group in Toronto, but, like, if there isn't, I want to start one. You guys are amazing. Like, I can't wait to be, a group leader just like you. And then it turns out there was a Toronto group, but it wasn't a whole lot going on. So I took over that group. And also then, as you mentioned, co-founded True North Dreaming, which was the first first Canadian Salesforce community conference. And we had our first event in 2019, and then, the good old spicy cough ruined our 2020 plans.
Spicy cough. Okay.
Yeah. Spicy cough.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So we had our first event in 2019 and unfortunately haven't had our second event yet. We're hoping that it'll be next year. But, there's obviously been a lot that's happened since then, and we're just starting to have conversations with the team about what our, I guess, follow-up event is going to look like. But yeah, I wouldn't be here without the community. I was introduced to so many wonderful people. I learned so many great things from everyone, and really feel as though it's a really great way to give back to the community, because it's given so much to me in terms of what I've learned, what I've achieved, what I've been awarded. And if I can help someone else, learn something that they were struggling to, or connect them with someone, or point them in the direction of a job opportunity, or just help them in some way, then it's all worth it for me. Like, I'm really a giving back, pay it forward kind of gal.
Yeah, and I think I resonate that, absolutely. Second that. What do you recommend to people that are hesitant to join the community? Because it is something that is very unique to Salesforce. So people coming into a Salesforce community from another tech industry that are very like, why are you guys helping each other? What would you say to them, and what advice would you give them?
I would say, absolutely give it a go. You would be surprised what you will learn and who you will be connected to by joining the community. Like, you've kind of, and I understand, like, really the Erica Cools, the Holly Firestones put so much love and passion into really garnering this community. And it's really an important aspect for Salesforce. And now you're starting to see it with other tech companies too, putting more and more resources into community because they've seen how powerful it is. But that's just it. It is really powerful in terms of what it can help you with. And we don't bite. We do it because we're passionate about helping other individuals work and get ahead in technology. So what do you have to lose from coming to spend time with some people who genuinely want to help you?
Yeah, and that's it. Like, what do we have to lose? Like, there are so many jobs and there are so many different aspects of the industry. We're not competing really against each other so accurately that as long as we help each other, our industry just keeps getting better. So we just have each other to keep challenging each other. So ultimately,
it's exactly. It's if one of us succeeds, we all succeed. And I think that the Trailblazer community is a really strong proponent of that. And I mean, I know that for you as a group leader, when you were looking for someone to fill a role, you looked internally to your group. And I know of so many other people that's happened to. And I think that's, you just never know what you will find when you join your local group or attend your local conference, really.
Yeah, it is true. It is very good for networking as well. Talking about advice, it is really important to talk about the new Trailblazers. As you said, it used to be accidental admin. Now it is becoming a very, very viable option for people coming into technology, especially women into the new technology space. What advice would you give to specifically new Trailblazers coming into the industry?
I would say it's kind of what I was talking about earlier of you never know what skills that you've learned in the past are really going to come back to help you in your Salesforce career or a Salesforce role. Like, I had no idea that studying public relations and then, over a decade later, working in an industry I never had any idea I would be working in, that those skills would help me. So you really just don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And you don't have to feel ashamed about not having studied technology, because those skills that you have make you unique. And anyone can learn Salesforce, but not everyone has had the same journey as you. And that's what makes you special. And that's what sets you apart. It's not the Salesforce stuff. It's the other stuff that you bring to the table.
Oh my goodness, that gave me chills. That is really good. That was amazing. That the stuff that makes you unique is what sets you apart from others.
Absolutely.
That's great advice. Yeah. That's so good. And so now I'm going to go and write down the stuff that makes me unique. So now I have to figure that out. But we've come to the part of the podcast that we get to ask our fun question of Zarina. So here goes. If you could be an animal, what animal would you be and why?
See, I saw that question on the list and I was like, I actually don't know. I don't have a good answer. Actually, no. I've got an idea. Okay. Well, I wasn't too sure initially when I saw that question on your list, but now that I think about it, I would definitely be a bird of some kind. As you can probably see from my background, I've got a couple of birds hiding in various places. And there's something about birds. I don't know what it is. Actually, no. It was my first word. My first word was bird. That's what my parents told me.
Wow.
I've always just loved them. Like growing up in South Turramurra, North Shore represent, in Sydney, the birds are just everywhere. And you literally wake up to the sound of the kookaburras laughing at you in the morning. And I've always just loved birds. I love flying as well. So I think if I could fly, and being a bird enabled me to fly, obviously. So not a penguin. Definitely not a penguin. A bird that could fly, hopefully one that had a cute little song and one that was maybe, a little flamboyant. Like I could be a galah. Yeah, I reckon. I mean, I have a tattoo of a galah. I reckon I am a bit of a galah in the best possible way, like a bit quirky, not like you're a bloody galah.
You're a pack of galahs.
Exactly. Not like that. Just like a pretty colourful parrot, very chatty, but they could fly.
Yeah.
So in short, my answer is a bird because I could fly.
Yeah, no, that's good. I like it. I appreciate that one. I do also
And
like
there's no
to,
Salesforce birds. Also, none of the characters.
yeah,
Actually, no. I just say that, and I've seen Hootie. Hootie's a bird. Hootie's an owl.
yeah. Hootie McOwlface. Yes, you're right.
Exactly.
Yes, they have a trailhead knowledge. Yes, trailhead's a bird. But also, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your inspirational story. And yes, everyone, you do not have to come from a tech background. Absolutely not. Do not put yourself in a space where I did not study something, so I cannot be something else. You can always do something else if you put your mind to it, or fall into a
Absolutely.
space where you can just get some interest and try something else out. I will
Exactly.
also, yes, say that, Zarina, I thank you so much for sharing your story. I offer you the mic to share some wisdom or to promote something that you would like to promote.
Sure. Well, firstly, thank you so much for having me on, Mia. I really appreciate it. It's been really great getting to know you for the over the time that I've been back in Sydney recently, and to attend some events with you. It's been super awesome. I guess I have a Salesforce blog that I update occasionally. It's called Adventures in Salesforcing, because when I created it, I'd just been watching Adventures in Babysitting, and I thought that was a cool name. So that's what I call my blog, and it's at zazmataz.ca.
That's a cool name.
Yeah, because obviously my nickname is Zaz, with a name like Zarina, obviously, and growing up in Australia, everyone's names get short, and you always get a nickname. So it became Zaz,
That's
and then
true.
Zazmataz, like Razmataz. So that's my like go-to username for everything. So my Twitter handle is Zazmataz. On Instagram, I'm Zazmataz. My MySpace was Zazmataz. Oh, let's not relive those days.
Throwbacks.
But yeah, so my blog is just about my experiences. It's not a technical blog at all, because I'm never going to be the most technical person in the room, but that's okay. I know that.
Yeah.
I work with people who maybe aren't as chatty as me and don't have the same background in communications and other life experiences that I do. So that's why working for a company that hires different types of people is great, because you never know what your skills and what your lived experiences are going to bring to your role, and how that makes you unique. So that's what I write about in my blog. Definitely have so many ideas, and it's just about finding the time. So, I mean, if I could go back and tell, I guess, past Daz some advice before she found Salesforce, I would definitely say get on Trailhead. I know we all know about Trailhead, but like for someone new that's looking for a career in technology or looking to make a change, I mean, it's free. The amount of times I've chatted with an Uber driver or someone, and they're like, yeah, I'm thinking about getting into technology, but I'm not really sure where to start. I'm like, bam, Trailhead, off you go. We all know this, but you don't know who's not familiar with it. I would also say join a community group. They're led by passionate people like Mia and myself who love helping other people. If you can, attend a community conference, because I understand for a lot of people getting to Dreamforce and even World Tour is quite prohibitive from a cost perspective. There are so many great resources online. I'm still finding amazing resources and blogs written by other people of the community that love helping. So if you see myself or another Golden Hoodie awarded individual, we don't bite, we're not scary, come chat with us. We're happy to help. So yeah, thanks Mia for kind of allowing this platform for some of us to tell our stories, because even though we're such like a beacon, really, when we're at these events, really, and believe you me, we've all had people come up and be like, oh, can I touch you? Yeah,
So
that's
shiny.
not weird at all. We're a beacon because we are the people that want to help. We stand out because we are the people that have helped other people. And we're going to continue to do that, Golden Hoodie or not. So really, like, if you see one of us, don't be afraid to come chat with us, because we want to help you at the end of the day.
Yeah, we're definitely approachable, and we wear the Golden Hoodie because we will want to help you. So please definitely reach out to us. We are sharing our stories so that we can help someone in a similar situation. And we're putting ourselves out there to help. So Thank you,
Absolutely.
Zarina, for coming on the podcast. I hope you had some fun, and I hope it resonated out there with someone else. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much, Mia.